Hello and welcome to edumate.tv. I'm Chetan Shah. We learn to live and live to learn in what has turned out to be an unprecedented situation, with history being written across the geography of Mother Earth. And a minor virus has created a major catastrophe, making each and every one of us rewind, rethink, reset, reboot, reformat before we rebuild a new future, a new norm. In the world of education, particularly higher education, the one trait that's required to overcome the challenges and assess solutions and even create opportunities is the trait of wisdom. Wisdom emanating from past knowledge and experience, and wisdom to be able to expect, embrace, and evolve with the new norm. And to do that, at the university levels, we have a very wise chancellor. Today we have a very special guest from Aurangabad, the MGM University, Dr. Professor Sudhir Gavahane. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Such a pleasure to talk to you.
Namaskar. In Corona culture, you need to follow the Indian culture of Namaskar.
It's such a pleasure to connect with you, sir. Talk us through you mentioned about Corona, so talk us through your learnings, your challenges, and your apprehensions during this very challenging environment.
As a learner, I found that when this Corona epidemic came in forth and shaken the whole world, shaken every sector of the humanity, business, trade, education, and whatnot. And I realized that there is what World Health Organization has described as misinfodemic. So lot of, unscientific misinformation, disinformation was spread along from the mainstream to social media to the print to very important persons holding the important positions. And that was, the information attacks were created a mayhem and the fear in the minds of the people. That was more dangerous than this epidemic itself. So I personally feel that educating our people, informing our people, and informed democracy is very important in the context of pandemic like this. So we are disturbing the eco-balance, the ecosystem of living and non-living organisms, and it is we intellectuals, we are destroyers of the nature which gives us the life, and we ourselves, so-called intellectuals, are destroying the nature. That is the saddest part of the thing, and we are not even prepared, because United Nations Environment Program is saying consistently that there is a possibility of many more such zoonotic diseases which are going to attack us. Are we ready to face and change our mindset? That time has come to spare time for the nature, work for the nature, preserve Mother Earth, prosper not by money, capital, prosper by nature, prosper with the nature, encourage the development of the nature. That is the message this particular pandemic has given to us.
Thank you for helping us learn what the pandemic teaches, and it teaches us exactly what you said. So talk us through your experience, your life experience of teaching mass communication. You had a very intriguing career.
Thank you for appreciating. When I started teaching in the university in the year 1983, I started my career as a university teacher. And that time in 80s, the situation was some of the universities were having the diploma programs, and some of the universities just started the postgraduate one-year degree program. So I am student of that batch. And that time it was said that there is no need of such kind of training, and journalists are born, media persons are born, not required to be taught in a classroom. And in a way, that's true. There are, born journalists as well as trained journalists. So trained journalists are also required and born journalists are also required. So education is not really an essential component, but ability and the passion for this profession is required. For every profession it is. Like grassroots journalist I will call, who is not trained in classrooms, but having passion for the journalism. And he's doing miraculous progress into that. So initial times, because I work in All India Radio, then I was in the Sunday magazine editor of the prominent Marathi newspaper, Lokmat group of newspapers. So I have a lot of experience to my credit, and after getting the professional experience, I joined teaching. So with the bent of that background, I joined as a teacher of journalism. And while teaching, I was doing profession also, learning from the profession and learning the trends, of offset printing and all. So most importantly, I am very happy that during my career as a professor, as a head at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University based at Aurangabad, there I could, as a professor and head later years, with the 3 decades experience of myself, I could contribute a lot for the different phases of journalism education. So, for example, I have made a plan for digital studio, and we got 10 crore rupees sanctioned by the government of Maharashtra for developing high definition television studio, high definition radio studio, Apple Multimedia Lab in a public university, and that kind of infrastructure we have developed and moved towards, earlier it was a print centric, then from print centric to radio centric, radio to TV centric, and then the multimedia centric kind of journalism journey I have noticed and I have worked with, and I have adopted myself to the changing situations. And now the social media presence which we are now experiencing, that is very important for me, that now we are in a multimedia environment, global environment. So main aim of the journalism is the public interest.
Thank you for highlighting the qualities of a journalist. Very, very critical in this environment. If you notice, sir, that we have the 400 news channels, and yet, to be honest, sadly, you don't even have one solid institute of repute like an IIM or, an IIT in the field of journalism. But it also gives you an opportunity to think that perhaps it's about time that we build a world-class media institute. Yeah. I'm going to quickly come back to the points of COVID, because you very, beautifully elucidated the philosophy of learnings which were emanating from COVID. But there are also a lot of practical learnings, Dr. Gavhane, particularly in dispensing education, whether it's the online education, it's a blended education, So how have you as a university coped up with it?
When COVID-like situation comes, the digital learning, I always call it as digitally driven education, DDE, from the conventional kind of education, classroom education, with classroom. Now we are without classroom, WC to WC. That is the change we are facing, right? With COVID, WC is also with COVID. And AC, after COVID, what? So the governments across the world, the national regulatory bodies like University Grants Commission in our case, NAAC, National Assessment and Accreditation Council, which accreditates the quality of the higher education. I am involved, associated with NAAC for last 20 years. And I have noticed that, deployment of ICT, information communication technology, was the emphasis by UGC, was the emphasis from the government side, MHRD, emphasis from the society leadership, but it was not practiced. So because of COVIDization of the higher education, what happened that every teacher, every institution, every management from UGC to small college and a remote place were compelled to grab and accept and go for e-learning mode, digitally driven education. This is a sea change we are noticing, a revolutionary change we are noticing, and that is a positive step, positive effect of COVID. COVID has made a lot of negative effects on our society. no doubt about that. But there are few positive effects, and one of them is this, that people are now concerning about their mental and physical health. People are now concerned and thinking about the health system required for the country. They are considering about the education. They are considering about the protecting the nature. These are the 4 positive effects of the COVIDization.
If you look at the overall scenario, there's also a threat to the digital divide, which can be very dangerous as well, because of the lack of the digital infrastructure. So you could come to a situation, unless and until we ensure, you talked about democracy, you also have to look at inclusiveness. And unless and until there's digital connectivity through all parts of our country, you will create a bigger rift between the haves and the have-nots. That's one threat. And the second one being this entire uprising against onlining by parents, by students. So it's not necessarily as simple as it seems. It seems logical, but it's not necessarily, simple to implement.
Very valid point you raised, sir. I appreciate that. And this is the ground reality of a country like India, right? And digital divide is a major issue in India, but it is not impossible to solve. Just what we require is the political will. All the corporates, all the governments, if they decide, so through the mobile device, if you give the smartphones in the hands of every child, right? And if you provide broadband facility to everywhere, that is possible. 5G is already there, but you have to adopt that, and government has to invest hugely into this. It is not just commercial thing, it's an educational thing, empowering thing, empowering rural masses. And if you do that, we will be entering into what is being International Telecommunication Union, ITU, has described as network society. We are moving towards the network society, where every human being on this earth is going to be connected with each other through smartphone. So mobile learning is a new pathway, low cost, affordable, easily available, anytime, anywhere. But as you said, the divide is very dangerous. Right. The broadband facility is not as promptly and with the speed required is available in the metros. It is not available in the rural areas. There are 646,000 villages in India, and 60% population of our country resides in the villages. What about these millions and millions of children? I personally feel if MLAs and MPs and the Jilla Parishads and the corporates under the CSR, if they provide sufficient amount to provide one smartphone to every child of poor section of our society, it's a tool of revolutionizing their future. It is going to be educate not only that child but the parents also, if he is farmer or laborer. This is the political will issue. The digital divide can be removed, eradicated.
So you mentioned this word twice. Political will, and we all know that education by and large is actually a political subject. Are you also then suggesting that perhaps the will is not enough in this country at this point of time? Because even though there is progress, the progress doesn't seem to be at the requisite speed, and there seems to be a lot of conflicting thoughts coming up and between center and state.
Education is a concurrent subject. It is of the central government, it is of the state government too. And we are a federal government, federal democracy. We should understand the spirit and issues, referred by different regions of our country. For example, my opinion that this total lockdown, which we took a decision, was a wrong decision. Why I am saying wrong? Because initial stage, what was happening, that in the rural area, 646,000 villages, there was no corona. There were no patients. Why we have closed them down? Right? So there were taluka places, small cities, towns. We have closed them down, denying the access to the smartphones. We are denying access to the knowledge and information, which is the birthright of every citizen, every child of our country. And is it possible or not? I will say it is possible. If corporate world and if the political systems of the different states, they decide they can do this.
You mentioned about the several the advantages and positives one can draw out of COVID. Well, some of them are in the realms of new career opportunities, which are being seen. Right, it's also giving us the opportunity to relook at our entire education system, which seems to be a little archaic right now, and look at more holistic education, look at multidisciplinary skilling education. So, what is MGM as a university doing on that front?
Our Mahatma Gandhi Mission Charitable Trust has established this MGM University. So our founder is the staunch follower of Gandhi, and he has done M.Tech from IIT Mumbai in 70s. Kamal Kishore Kadam, and he was the higher education minister of the state of Maharashtra also. And we are having two universities, one in Navi Mumbai and one is in Aurangabad. At Aurangabad, we are having engineer Dr. Ankush Kadam as our chancellor. So our vision is to cope up with the situation that COVID protective welcome kits we are providing to our students, number one. Number two, realizing the ground reality that the first semester upcoming student, because from the 1st of August, we have to start the classes of the existing students. So those classes we are starting online, number one. Number two, we have trained our teachers to cope up with the situation, and I am very happy to say you that nationally and globally even, the teachers have adopted themselves to the new situations, new normal. And now, from the 1st September, as per the UGC guidelines, we are expecting to start our new academic year, right? But that is also physical classes is not possible. So what we are doing, that two models we are working on. One, dedicatedly e-learning model, open and distance learning model, wherein first semester till the December, we will be engaging our student by e-learning mode, number one. Number two, if there is situation calms down and it is possible to get the students in the campuses, and that decision has been taken by the UGC and Government of India and concerned state government, and the local situation is suitable for that, then we will be having blended model of education. In that, we will have a COVID-friendly classroom, wherein instead of 60 students sitting, we will make arrangement for only 30 students. All the practical labs we are converting into a classroom too, because they are compromising, they're encompassing the 30 students. So there 15 students will be there. We are planning to schedule our system so that there will be 3 shifts, morning shifts, afternoon shift and evening shift, so that we will distribute our students into 3 batches, and at the same time, same infrastructure can be used by social distancing mode. We are going for COVID-friendly offices. So in a way, the social distancing, the COVID-friendly classroom, COVID-friendly laboratories room, and COVID-friendly teaching methodologies we are adopting, and we are going for example, we are giving assignment to the student. They can do project-based learning, research-based learning, service-based learning. These are the 3 models.
Dr. Sudhir Gavhane, absolutely revolutionary. Your thoughts, your words, and most importantly, your actions. Thank you for being our Vice Chancellor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and all the best for your missions. And we as a MGM University are always with you, and we would like to inform you that we do not only provide professional education, we provide Mahagami Gurukul classical dances education, fine arts, performing arts, media arts. All these branches are there, and we are into sports also. Our sports infrastructure is the world class, and we have invested around 50 crores into that, and we have a stadium, and all facilities of sports are also there, because healthy India is a strengthy India. That is the mission.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.